President Trump said that he's talking about combating funding of Islamist ideology, and all of us, we are combating the funding of any terrorist groups. And actually, during the conversation with the President of the United States, between him and His Highness, he has raised this issue that the funding of terrorism need to be stopped by different countries, and he told us that I read a lot of reports that mentioning Qatar and Saudi and other countries, and we told him that those reports based on media information, which is not really based on evidence, and we are willing to sit and talk.
All right. Well, let me just reiterate then the accusations against Qatar. Saudi says that it has cut ties because, and I quote, of your country's embrace of various terrorist and sectarian groups aimed at destabilizing the region. They say that includes the Muslim Brotherhood, Al-Qaeda, Islamic State, and groups supported by Iran in Saudi Arabia's restive eastern province of Qatar. Is that true or false?
With all the respect, but this statement is full of contradiction, because it's saying that we are supporting Iran, and from the other hand, we are supporting the extremist groups in Syria, and we are supporting Muslim Brotherhood in Saudi or in Yemen, and we are supporting the Houthis from the other side. And they are in all battlefields, they are adversaries. And about our support to the Saudi opposition or the sectarian moves in Al-Qatif, this is totally false information. Actually, the cooperation between our security and intelligence agencies between Qatar and Saudi has been serving the purpose of the national security of Saudi.
Let me be a little bit more specific then, because the UAE's State Minister for Foreign Affairs has just spoken to CNN and says Qatar's financial and logistical support for extremist organizations like the Nusra Front, formerly Al-Qaeda in Syria, and Islamist groups in Libya and the Sinai, he says, has gone too far. Your response?
Well, there is no any support going to Al-Nusra or Al-Qaeda or others. The work we are doing together with our allies in Syria is supporting the armed opposition, because our position is firm there in Syria to support the Syrian people for their rights, for justice and for free life. Whatever being thrown as an accusation is all based on misinformation, and we think that the entire crisis being based on misinformation, because it's started based on fabricated news being waged being inserted in our national news agencies, which was hacked and proved by the FBI that was hacked days before the planned false news.
So this is a flat-out denial, as Trump and the Minister of State for Foreign Affairs in the UAE both suggesting that Qatar is involved in the funding of Islamist extremism or radical ideology, correct?
Qatar is preventing the world from potential terrorists when we are promoting for peace, we are promoting for open diplomacy, we are promoting for dialogue. Qatar is promoting for education. We are creating jobs for the people in the Middle East. We are giving them better hope. We are replacing the weapons with pens when we are educating young children in the refugees camps. We are protecting the world from potential terrorists with all the work we are doing.
You do have well-documented ties with groups like Hamas and the Muslim Brotherhood. Will you cut those ties?
Well, as I told you, Qatar is believing in diplomacy, and I want to clarify for you, first of all, that Hamas representation in Qatar was a political office, and now the leadership of Hamas is being elected inside Palestine, and they are there in Gaza, and the leaders of Hamas are coming and going in and out in Qatar for also the engagement in the dialogue and the reconciliation between the Palestinians, which was in coordination with the Americans and with the international community, that Qatar being an active player in mediating between the two Palestinian factions.
So Foreign Minister, let me get this straight on this point of Hamas, because there have been reports that Qatar has kicked out the Hamas assets. There are still Hamas personnel in Qatar today, correct?
Yes, there are Hamas personnel in Qatar, and this is a decision based coming from Hamas. We didn't ask them to leave. They decide where to stay, and they are moving in different capitals. They are not in Qatar only.
The Muslim Brotherhood is an organization that is designated a terrorist organization by other countries, specifically Saudi and the UAE. Will you continue to have ties with the Muslim Brotherhood? This is clearly more than an irritant to your Gulf allies.
We don't have ties with Muslim Brotherhood. Normally, we deal with governments. We are a state, and we deal with the states. Muslim Brotherhood, when they ruled Egypt, we supported Egypt. We didn't support the Muslim Brotherhood. Muslim Brotherhood, they are not in government in Tunis, and we are still supporting the government of Tunisia. So the story of ties of Muslim Brotherhood, we have stated for many times, for 100 times, that we have no ties with Muslim Brotherhood. Are we going to list the Muslim Brotherhood as a terrorist organization? We didn't have any proof that Muslim Brotherhood has a groups which committed an act of terror. And if we have this group, then they will be listed based on the act they have done.
So unless you were to designate them, you will continue to have problems with the UAE and Saudi, correct?
Well, actually, if the problem with Saudi and UAE is based on our foreign policy, and they wanted to impose policies on Qatar, this is, I think, this is something out of a question, because each country has its own sovereignty. We said, we have repeatedly said that anything which will affect the collective security of the Gulf country, and there is a proof of wrongdoing from Qatar, we are courageous enough to sit and talk about it and to change the course. But if there is any intervention in our affairs, or intervention to change our policy because it's contradicting with other policies in different countries, this is not going to happen, because Qatar basing our policy based on our principle. And as I told you, we always promote for dialogue, and engagement doesn't mean enforcement.
What do the Saudis and Emiratis want you to do with regards to Iran? And are you prepared to toe the GCC line on countering Iranian influence?
Iran, we had a difference with them, yes, but we believe in dialogue, which was already decided by all the Gulf leaders based on principles, and we are strict to the same principles which we are basing our dialogue on. Everyone want to have a positive relationship with Iran, since Iran is a neighbor. No one can change geography. We have to live together, and we have coexist together. We cannot change the course by taking a hostile measure. We have to change the course around the dialogue tables.
I just want to finally ask you, just how long can you hold out in Qatar? I mean, you know, there are reports of food shortages, worries about people being able to, or not being able to leave your country. How long do you hold out if this sort of siege, as it were, continues?
I can assure you, look, here now, right now, the business as usual. We have no problem in food supply. Yes, we have some of our supplies which are coming from the land border, but we have another alternative which we have been prepared for. We have storages already been prepared for here in Qatar since before. His Highness already has instructed since 2014 to build for the country a strategic reserve and strategic program. And we don't see that the life will be affected, and all the international navigation is opened in front of Qatar. We have the sea navigation, we have also the air navigation. Suppliers from different countries can be identified, they are already identified. We believe that the course of life in Qatar will not be affected by those measures.